to junior wearing number 31, Dwayne Washington.
Dwayne Washington was the epitome of a New York point guard. He made his name in the Brownsville playgrounds, as people soon started calling him the Pearl due to his similarities to the NBA legend. Once he got to high school, his elite senior year put him on the map, making him a celebrity in his community and earning him the ranking as the #1 player in the country. Jim Boeheim noticed his skill set and recruited him to Syracuse. Pearl's style of play was different from the normal guards of the time, as his ball handling was so advanced that he shook defenders out of their shoes with regularity. He was a great passer and finisher at the rim, plus he could pick off lazy passes. Dwayne played a huge part in bringing Syracuse back to relevance as a program, as he was bound to do something exciting every time he stepped on the court. His achievements were really impressive considering that he played when the Big East was at its peak. After an amazing junior season, he decided to strike when the iron was hot. He was chosen by the Nets with the 13th pick in the 1986 draft, but the holes in his game were more alarming in the professional ranks. He often played a little heavier than he should have, so he didn't have the athletic ability to stay in front of pro guards, and his jump shot left a lot to be desired. Dwayne's NBA career would only last 3 seasons, as he played a couple years in the CBA before retiring. Regardless of how long he played in the pros, his status as a New York legend is cemented, as his patented killer crossover inspired Hall of Famers like Tim Hardaway and Allen Iverson. Plus, he was a positive figure in the community. Today's video will look at a player whose impact goes way beyond the numbers. Welcome to PG Hoops, and let's get down to it. Dwayne was born on January 6, 1964 in Brooklyn. He honed his dribbling skills on the Brownsville playgrounds, as his killer crossover and slick spin moves reminded those around him of Earl Monroe. So an 8-year-old Dwayne would be given the nickname Pearl. By the time he was 12, he was so good that he shared the court with World B. Free, along with other college and pro-level players. Once he got to boys and girls high school, Dwayne stood out, even amongst a high school class with Kenny Smith, Mark Jackson, and Rod Strickland. He made his name in community tournaments like Soul in the Hole and the Boston Shootout, playing against the likes of John Sally, Len Bias, and Patrick Ewing. Dwayne was so majestic on the court that he had an aura about him, as one of his teammates would describe. He was like a point god, whereas no one would try to deny him what he wanted, because most of them were enamored by his presence. You never knew what he was going to do next. That's one of the things that made him the person he was on the court. He might go the whole game and do just behind the back passes or fake passes and lay the ball up, or shoot a million bank shots. This guy probably saved a lot of lives and a lot of relationships, because if you go to the game mad at each other, you left happy because you saw a great show. Dwayne averaged 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists as a senior, being named a first-team Parade All-American and a McDonald's All-American. He would even get to represent his country, earning a spot on the national team for the 1983 FIBA Junior World Championships, in which America won gold. After being ranked as the #1 player in the country, he had to pick of the litter in terms of colleges, but since he was already a New York legend, Syracuse seemed like the best option. He was interested in their communications major, plus there was an open spot at the point guard for him to take. He joined future pro Raphael Addison on an orange squad that looked like they could make a lot of noise. Dwayne started from day one, and he was productive, dropping 22 on Utica College, 24 on Seton Hall, and 28 on Villanova. In the January matchup against Boston College, Pearl would create the first great moment of his college career.
We're all tied up. Clark's shot is no good. Cairns with the rebound. Tie ball game. 2 seconds. 1 second. Pearl's prayer. Oh, it's good. Pearl with the prayer from midcourt, and the Orange have won this ball game. Unbelievable. The fans are going wild. They're hanging from the rim. The Orange have won this ball game in incredible fashion at the buzzer. The Pearl from midcourt. That's why they call him the Pearl.
Syracuse finished the season 19-7, and heading into the Big East tournament, Pearl would light it up in the Garden, helping Syracuse beat Connecticut and Villanova. But Georgetown was too much for them, as they bowed out in overtime. Pearl's freshman season was amazing, being named the Big East Rookie of the Year, averaging 14 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals on 54% shooting. The Orange made the big dance, facing VCU in their first round matchup, as Pearl dropped 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals in an easy win. He struggled in their next game against Virginia, with 8 points and 3 assists on 3 of 10 shooting, as Syracuse lost by 8. Over the summer, he was invited to the U.S. Olympic trials, and although he didn't make the final cut, John Stockton said that he was the toughest player he guarded during the tryouts. Syracuse added Ronnie Cycli in 1984, and Pearl continued to add to his resume. He had 7 20-point games, including a season-high 30 against Pittsburgh. They would start the season 8-0, playing pretty well the rest of the way to finish the regular season at 20-7. They would lose to Georgetown again in the Big East tournament, but they were still good enough to go dancing. Pearl had become one of the best players in the Big East, if not the nation, being named a second-team All-American, averaging 15 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. He shined in the opening round against DePaul, jumping 23 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists in a 5-point win. He and the Orange struggled against Georgia Tech, shooting below 40% in a blowout loss. The Orange added Sherman Douglas in 1985, and Pearl would be more assertive on offense this year. But after leading the Big East in turnovers the past 2 seasons, he looked to show his improved basketball IQ as a junior. Syracuse's offense was one of the best in the country as they started the season 12-0. Pearl was a big reason for that, jumping 28 on Notre Dame, 33 on Villanova, and 35 on St. John's. He wasn't a one-dimensional player though, ranking second in the Big East in assists and steals while lowering his turnovers. His shake and bake was extremely effective against the full-court press, allowing him to get an open shot at the rim or dump it off to an open teammate. The 22-4 Orange got past Boston College and Georgetown in the conference tournament before losing to St. John's in the championship game, despite 20 points and 14 assists from Pearl. Even though his team lost, he won the tournament MVP, as his junior season saw him average 17 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals, as Syracuse was a 2 seed against 15 seed Brown. He was elite in a blowout win, having 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists on 9 of 11 shooting. They face an underdog in the Naval Academy next, as Pearl showed out with 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. But David Robinson put on his cape, dropping 35 points, 11 rebounds, 3 steals, and 7 blocks in a 12-point win for Navy. Feeling like he didn't have anything else to prove, he became the first player under Boeheim to leave early, declaring for the 1986 draft after his junior season.
The New Jersey Nets select Dwayne Washington of Syracuse.
He was picked 13th overall by the Nets, so he was still relatively close to home. New Jersey was deep into their rebuild, as their top players were Buck Williams, Orlando Woolridge, and Mike Gminski. Pearl was a day one starter, and he was solid in spurts, dropping 27 points and 9 assists on the Kings, 29 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 steals on the Warriors, and 21 points, 9 assists, and 4 steals on the Pacers. The biggest issue with him was consistency, as his jump shot wasn't the best, forcing him to drive the ball more than he really wanted to. He also played a few pounds heavier than what his coaches would have preferred, so his lack of athletic ability was even more noticeable in the pros. All in all, he did more good than bad, but the Nets were still bottom feeders, finishing 24-58. Pearl averaged 9 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.5 steals. It seemed like the Nets hadn't seen enough in Pearl over the summer, as they brought in John Begley to be the starting point guard in 1987. With Otis Birdsong fully recovered from injury, Pearl's role was greatly diminished. He still found ways to contribute, dishing a career-high 12 assists in the 3rd game of the year, while having a 4-game stretch in late December averaging 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. The Nets were completely dysfunctional, going through 3 different head coaches, while their offense was atrocious, ranking near the bottom in field goal percentage, free throw percentage, assists, turnovers, and points. New Jersey would only win 19 games this year, as Pearl averaged 9 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.5 steals. The NBA would expand in 1988, as the Heat and the Hornets were added to the league. After 2 mediocre seasons, the Nets didn't keep Pearl, and he was scooped up by the Heat in the expansion draft. He joined his college teammate Ron, while he would be the backup point guard behind Rory Sparrow. Whenever he did get time, he was productive, nearly dropping a triple-double against Boston with 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. He dropped his first career double-double against Philly with 18 points and 12 assists, along with a season-high 21 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals against his former team. As was expected with an expansion team, the Heat were horrible, finishing 15-67. Pearl averaged 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.5 steals. The Heat drafted Glenn Rice and Sherman Douglas in 1989, and Pearl became expendable, as he was released in July. After 2 years in the CBA, Pearl retired from the game for good. After his playing days were done, he returned to school to earn a bachelor's degree in speech communication. He had spent some time coaching at the high school level, pursuing a master's degree before he fell ill in 2014. After having a malignant tumor removed from his brain in August of 2015, Dwayne passed away on April 20 of 2016, as he was 52 years old. When asked about his impact on Syracuse basketball, Jim Boeheim said this: "We've had a lot of great players, but there's really only one. There's just one guy like him. When I first saw him play, I thought he was the most exciting player I've ever seen play the game of basketball, and I still think that today." Pearl Washington wasn't blessed with insane height or athletic ability, but he was very entertaining to watch at his peak. especially in one-on-one situations. His shake and bake crossover became the inspiration for a young Tim Hardaway and several other elite guards after him. He was one of the original ankle breakers, bringing a new level of excitement to the Carrier Dome. He had so many legendary moments in college, but the NBA was an entirely different animal, as he struggled to establish himself despite his draft status. With his NBA career aside, Pearl Washington was another book on the shelf of elite New York point guards, as he had a flair and flavor to his game that kept you on the edge of your seat. Thank you guys, I really appreciate y'all for the support. Shout out to everyone who recommended Pearl Washington, because I had vaguely heard of his name. I like the way he plays. He has like a shake and bake to his game, a nice little, like a wiggle to his game. You know what I mean? Like, it's different because in the 80s, nobody was dribbling like that in the 80s. I've noticed with a lot of the New York point guards, they all kind of have like a similar play style. It's like they're really good individual guys. They're really good ball handlers. Most of them are really good passers. The biggest thing, most of them are not really good shooters, because you had Pearl Washington wasn't the best shooter. Mark Jackson wasn't the best shooter. Rod Strickland wasn't the best shooter. Sebastian Telfair, Stephon Marbury. Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all. Shout out to everyone who recommended Pearl Washington. When you inspire guys like Allen Iverson, when you inspire guys like Tim Hardaway, like one of the best dribblers ever, who had the killer crossover just like Pearl Washington, all these guys play a role in influencing the next generation, so we have to respect them. But shout out to Pearl Washington, RIP to you, man. One of the best players in Big East history. Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all for the support. Leave a like if you enjoy, hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Turn my post notification on if you haven't already. Please be safe, stay on the grind, have a great day. I'm out. Peace.
John, you're saying you're happy to see him go. Well, you got your wish. You're going to be in New Jersey. You know, a lot of your critics have said that you're too flashy a player. What do you think about that?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm just looking forward to getting in the NBA and doing a good job.
Well, when you get on the break and you get the ball, what do you look for?
Well, first pass, and if not, go all the way to the basket. I'll stop and shoot a little short jump shot. But it's been an honor to play. It's going to be an honor to play at New Jersey, and I'm very happy with the choice, and I'm looking forward to playing down there.